Hi, hope you're fine. So, I've really been listening to us because we are very interesting people. And I want to believe the reason why we go through the things we go through in life, it is for us to learn something. For so many reasons actually. But one of the reasons is for us to learn something. So, the majority people, the people who is who in our society, people who actually can influence and affect change, people who can single-handedly change people's lives, the people who are who, most of those people, they went through difficult hardships in life. They come from too far. And my question is, did they learn something from it? Because I think most of us didn't learn. At some point, somebody slept hungry because they couldn't afford food. They didn't have the ability to acquire that food. Yeah? So somebody had made it difficult for them to acquire that food. So somebody also slept hungry because somebody who actually had food couldn't give even a single meal. And at the same time, the reason why you are alive is because somebody gave you a meal. So amidst that lack, did you learn something? Did you know how it feels to sleep hungry? So you know how it feels. Today you are the influencer. Are you doing something to make it easier for people to be able to acquire that food on their own? You may not have the capacity to do that, but I'm sure you can have a plate full of you can offer somebody a plate of food. Are you doing that because at some point somebody offered you a plate of food? Or are you going to be that person who didn't do something then, and so now you're also not going to do something about it today? Did you learn something from that lack? The other day I was looking at somebody who knows how to go hungry. Somebody I think who could barely afford a meal, could barely eat. And today the person has risen to become a very successful person. And now this person, he can afford to go to a restaurant, to the high and mighty restaurant, and buy a meal worth 500,000 shillings. So I asked myself, and don't get me wrong, it's your money. You're supposed to enjoy it. But it beats logic. Anyway, did you learn something from your luck? Did you learn something? The other day, at some point, one time, I went to this school and there were kids who were learning under a tree. And the MP, actually on that particular day, that MP was in that school to motivate the children. And he was there motivating the kids, telling them, look at me. I am a member of parliament. And I studied under that tree. And then I asked myself, you've been given the power, the mandate, the capacity, the ability to improve that school. And still you're not doing anything about it. You've not done anything about it for years. And now you're busy telling those kids, just be like me and study through under a tree and work hard, and somehow you will become an MP like me. Whereas you can be able to provide better facilities for those kids so that it becomes less difficult for them. Did you learn something? Did we learn something amidst it? Are we just busy becoming motivational speakers telling people you can go through it, you can go through it. Just words, and barely doing anything. Whereas we can do something. Because if we learn something, I think the world we are living in today would be better. And we would be improving. Everywhere we go, we should be improving. At some point, you went looking for a job and somebody demanded something that you couldn't afford or you couldn't give. And that is how you missed that job opportunity. And so today, you are the employer. Are you giving fair, equal chances to people to afford that job? Or are you the one demanding for things that some can't afford? Because you know how it feels to not get because you can't afford. Or because you have principles. You know how difficult it feels. So now that you're there, you have the capacity, you have the ability. At some point you had a bad boss, now you're the boss. Are you the bad boss now? Do you have to experience double trouble because you went through a bad boss? Or did you learn something? Are you learning something where you are? Did you learn? Because if you learned, I think we will make this world a better place. So, please. Are you learning? Did you learn something? Did you learn something? If you learned, please. And if you are not learning right now, please start learning. Learn. Because you went through that shit. People don't have to go through shit because there's something you can do about it. If you can, why aren't you doing something about it? Because you know how it feels to not get attention, to get frustrated. You know how it feels. Does somebody else have to get frustrated when there's something you can do about it? Did you learn something? Are you learning something? Let's learn something. Let's just be better at improving the situation for others, especially the situations that we went through ourselves. Did you learn something?